Right now at 10, the Census Bureau releases its income and poverty report, saying that the national poverty level has gone up by 1%. I'm Chris Warner with how an increase like that could impact local organizations.
And local mental health experts note a decrease in sleep brought on by pandemic anxiety. What you can do to rest easy.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
An increase in the nation's poverty level over the past 10 years is felt locally by organizations that serve folks in need. This is KOAM News at 10. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with 2 of those organizations on what they're seeing in the region.
On Tuesday, the Census Bureau released its income and poverty report, which showed a 1% increase in poverty nationally. New local numbers weren't immediately available, but as of 2019, the city of Joplin had a nearly 19% poverty rate, while the national average is at 10% and the state average is at 12%. The number of people living in poverty is placing an increased demand on local service providers as well.
The stimulus relieved the immediate crisis, which is what we do, but we're starting to see things trend back upward.
For Crosslines, Executive Director Rodney Rambo says they're grateful for the assistance they get from the community to help meet those increased needs.
We were started through the generosity of the community, through the local churches, and we continue to depend on that today. So fortunately, we live in a place where our community tends to respond to need very well.
Rambo says he's concerned the poverty percentage in Joplin could go up.
We do expect that number to continue to increase. Joplin, we tend to have a higher poverty level than the surrounding region.
Over at the Economic Security Corporation, they've seen a 26% increase in customers needing assistance since 2019.
So it definitely could go up. I think if it does, more customers will be seeking assistance. My hope is that some of the programming that we do will help people get out of poverty or get into a better situation.
Community Development Director Tammy Walker says part of that increase is due to the pandemic, but another side effect of the pandemic has been an increase to funding to organizations like Economic Security to provide services.
And we were able to look at the needs in the community and create programs that we haven't done before. For example, we were offering water bill assistance, and that's taken off.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
For those looking for help, we've put links to economic security and to Crosslines in this story on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Missouri Southern receives a grant to learn more about food insecurity among students. The Fosbeck Foundation grant gives the university $25,000 to fund research into food insecurity in Missouri college students. It'll also look at students' access to and knowledge of the SNAP program. Andrea Cullors, who heads up the Lion Co-op, will direct the research. If you'd like to donate to the co-op, check out the link to this story in our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. A Joplin man who owns a Pittsburgh business is indicted by a federal grand jury on 5 counts of false statement in a tax return. Kenneth Model owns a Model Construction in Pittsburgh. Prosecutors say Model underreported the company's gross income from 2015 to 2019 by more than $1 million. Nick Kelly joins us now with a first look at the weather.
We've been keeping an eye on the radar for much of this evening, Dow, but we have yet to see anything come toward Joplin's way, so that's why we kept the view for 7th and Rangeline quiet this evening so far. But throughout the day, it was pretty much quiet, but a low 72 and topping back out above our average high of 83 with 92 at Joplin Regional for today. You can see how much of the evening had any scattered thunderstorms in our northern counties, especially with the latest look of things right around Stockton Lake and south of the Harry Truman Reservoir. Still watching this cluster of thunderstorms trying to emerge from the Wichita Metro and away from the Kansas Turnpike. All of these are along a cold front that's still working through, and it's trying its best to cool things down as it passes on through, but a lot of us are still in the mid, if not upper 70s. But as the rain chances continue overnight, we will see that result in lows dropping off to 68. And once we get rid of the rain chances in the morning, we're dry, good shape for the afternoon tomorrow. Dow with highs are 85. We'll break down the rest of the week here in a bit.
See you then. Pandemic-related insomnia still impacts a lot of people. According to the National Institutes of Health, 40% of people have dealt with COVID insomnia during the pandemic. Some local health professionals have seen every age group, from children to adults, having trouble sleeping because of the pandemic. but they have some tips to help you get more and better sleep.
Take a break from any device that has a screen on it, because those screens shine light at us, and that tells us it's time to get up, it's time to be alert. Having standard bedtimes and arousal times, if it goes for a week or more when people are having difficulties initiating and maintaining sleep, it's appropriate to speak with your physician at that period of time.
A local psychologist says if someone has a mental illness like anxiety or depression, insomnia can be particularly harmful. If you endure the cycle of sleeplessness so long that it sends you into a crisis, well, the Ozark Center has a crisis intervention line that can help. That's 417-347-7720. Again, that number 417-347-7720. A major U.S. pharmacy is saying customers who registered for COVID-19 tests may have had their data exposed. Reports say Walgreens exposed the information of its customers on its website through its test registration system. Experts say a link to the confirmed test reservation gives access to private information with no login required. This includes access to birthdays, phone numbers, addresses, and emails. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was back in the hot seat today, spending more than 3.5 hours defending the Biden administration's withdrawal from Afghanistan. Many of the questions focused on the 100 or so Americans and thousands of Afghan allies who have not made it out. Secretary Blinken said officials are in constant contact with the Americans still in Afghanistan, and he said the government did what it could to get everyone out. There's a temporary halt on all flights of Afghan evacuees coming into the country after cases of the measles were found in 5 people who had recently arrived in the U.S. While officials are working to notify anyone who may have been exposed at an airport, hospital, or hotel, health experts say the highly contagious virus is almost entirely preventable through vaccination. Mandy Gaither has more on what you need to know about measles.
Inbound to the U.S., Afghans seeking refuge, but now a warning for anyone potentially exposed, whether on board, in an airport, hospital, or hotel. Cases of measles were found in 5 people who recently arrived in the U.S.
We want the people who work on these bases and the families who live there to know how seriously we're taking it.
All flights of Afghan evacuees into the U.S. have been halted for at least a week. The Department of Defense says they're working to immunize evacuees before they arrive. Those infected are being housed separately and are getting medical care as contact tracing continues, and some are asked to quarantine.
If somebody has measles around you and you are not vaccinated, you have a 90% chance of getting measles.
Dr. Nora Colburn, an infectious diseases specialist at the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, says those most at risk are children who haven't been fully vaccinated and those who are immunocompromised. The CDC says measles is one of the most contagious diseases in the world. While the virus was eliminated in the U.S. in 2000, recent declines in measles vaccinations have caused cases of this vaccine-preventable disease to rebound.
It's characterized by fever, cough, conjunctivitis, which is redness around the eyes, and a fine rash.
The CDC says measles can be dangerous, especially for babies and young children. Dr. Colburn says it's preventable with vaccination.
It's heartbreaking. Nobody should have to die of this disease.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The CDC says measles symptoms can appear 1 to 2 weeks after a person is exposed. The measles rash appears 3 to 5 days after the first symptoms. Still ahead, voters in California decide whether Governor Gavin Newsom will keep his job. And the comedy world loses a renowned figure. A look at the life and career of Norm Macdonald. It's Election Day in California. Voters are deciding if Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom should be recalled. Nichelle Medina reports from Los Angeles on the battle that's garnered national attention.
Hundreds of thousands of mail-in ballots cast in California's gubernatorial recall election were sorted in Santa Clara County.
I personally believe he's done a good job. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely.
The recall effort intensified during the coronavirus.
There are a number of things that bother me about the present governor.
Conservative talk show host Larry Elder tops 46 challengers trying to replace Governor Gavin Newsom.
Businesses are leaving at record rates. More businesses have left so far this year than have left all of last year.
Turnout was steady throughout the day at this polling place in Los Angeles. Newsom is only the second governor in California history to face a recall election. The first was 18 years ago when Democrat Gray Davis lost to Republican Arnold Schwarzenegger.
We fight for working people.
This recall election brought national Democratic support to the state. Vice President Kamala Harris last week, and then President Biden last night.
President Joe Biden.
Former President Trump alleged without evidence that the election was rigged because there were millions of mail-in ballots. Governor Newsom erupted when asked about allegations of voter fraud.
This election fraud stuff is a crock. It's shameful. And it's shameful. And I say that, I mean that as an American.
Newsom was easily elected less than 3 years ago. Nichelle Medina, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Only 4 governors in U.S. history have faced recall elections. Haiti's top prosecutor is seeking charges against Prime Minister Ariel Henry in connection with the assassination of the late President Jovenel Moïse. He has also barred the Prime Minister from leaving the country. Prosecutors cited evidence that a key suspect in the assassination called Henry in the hours after the murder. The investigation into the July 7th killing is ongoing and has turned up dozens of suspects, including U.S. and Colombian citizens. Comedian and former Saturday Night Live star Norm Macdonald has died at the age of 61 after a long battle with cancer. Macdonald was best known in the 1990s for anchoring the show's Weekend Update segment for 3 seasons with an iconic, dry and deadpan sense of humor. Following his departure from SNL, the Canadian-born comic starred in his very own sitcom dubbed The Norm Show from 1999 to 2001. He also appeared as a beloved regular on late-night shows like Letterman and Conan. His team confirmed Macdonald had been battling cancer for nearly a decade, but kept his diagnosis private from the public. Later, Missouri Southern students get a little taste of Japan.
But first, we'll break down how our rain chances look for the rest of the night and where we go from here with the rest of the forecast up next. A lot of us kept quiet during the day, but our next storm system actually is working through as we speak. So let's just dive right in. You can see how we didn't see much activity over Indigo Sky Casino Resort from sunrise to sunset outside of Seneca, Missouri, but couldn't help but notice more in the way of cloud cover. But in general, we kept partly sunny throughout the course of the day. Once we hit the late afternoon, after 2, 3, 4 o'clock, and certainly this evening, we've seen some scattered storms already develop in our northern counties, and we're still starting to see more activity try to fill in as we speak. So you can see how most of us along and south of US 400 and definitely down toward the I-44 corridor, nothing yet. But the area of rain that I've seen trying to emerge from the Wichita area and from the Kansas Turnpike is slowly trying to inch south and east now. And we're starting to see some more development in our far northern counties. And not only that, we've been watching this steady area of rain around Stockton Lake, heavy at times, but nothing severe. And we're starting to see additional development clipping northeastern parts of Vernon County. So it's a good indication that the lower level jet, a little corridor of moisture coming in from the Gulf, is trying to come back in as we speak. And that's going to keep our chance for scattered rain and storms going throughout the course of the night. But severe weather, I'm not worried about that whatsoever. Looking quiet from Joplin right now, 78 degrees, a calm breeze. Feels like 80 though with the dew point sitting in the mid 60s. So definitely ample moisture for rain chances to continue throughout the course of the night. If you haven't seen any yet, you still got a shot before everything clears out by morning. More on that in a moment though. Most of us are in the mid to upper 70s now. We'll drop back into the upper 60s as we continue. Not just mostly cloudy skies, but these rain chances working in. And earlier this evening, we were watching a string of severe thunderstorm watches stretch back into southwestern Kansas, but you can see how it's mainly around the Wichita area now, and there wasn't a lot of severe weather, quite frankly, across southern parts of Kansas today. All the severe weather, the better shot of it, was around the Great Lakes, but that area of storms and our area of storms are all along the same cold front working through, and not to mention the same upper level wave helping to aid in these rain chances upstairs. That's also passing on through. Both of those features working together to keep rain chances in the forecast as we go through the course of the night. Now, will the radar look exactly like this at 2 a.m.? No, the future track isn't always perfect, but it's got the right idea in that we'll hold on to these scattered rain and storm chances through the overnight, and as we get the morning commute started, as lows drop back to 68. Could we see a couple strong storms? Sure. Maybe some pockets of moderate to heavy rain, but maybe a few moderate wind gusts. But again, not really worried about anything severe. But once we get the afternoon underway, that's it. That's it for rain chances tomorrow. In fact, we'll go partly, if not mostly sunny for tomorrow afternoon. So yeah, tomorrow's the day where you want the rain gear handy to start your day, but you can ditch it for the afternoon. 68 in the morning, 79 by noon, afternoon highs around 85. Now, given this is our best shot for rain until we get to the middle of next week, we'll cross our fingers, if you've been hoping for some more rain, to see anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to maybe an inch, maybe 1.5 inches, depending on how the heavy rain chances line up and pass on through as we go through the night and into Wednesday morning. Behind the front, though, 66 Thursday morning and highs topping out around 87 with mostly sunny skies for Thursday. Once we hit the weekend, though, and early next week, we go back into the lower to middle 90s for highs. You can see quite a dry stretch for the next couple of days now, in fact, next several days. But I want to watch for another potential storm system with hopefully more rain chances by the middle of next week.
Yeah, we'll be ready for it by then, for sure. Thanks, Nick. Missouri Southern students today got to taste an authentic Japanese meal. It's part of the school's Japan semester, introducing students to different parts of Japanese culture. The event, called A Taste of Japan, was held in the Mays Student Life Center. For $10 per, folks got a full Japanese meal provided by the executive chef of Fresh Ideas.
Well, I think this is an event that students look forward to. Our themed semesters in particular, where we bring the world to the campus, and we get a lot of good feedback from students that it's something out of the ordinary, something a bit unusual, something that no other college or university does, where we choose a different country to focus every fall semester.
Missouri Southern is hosting several other events this week as part of its Japan semester. Coming up in sports, the Girard Trojans prepare to meet Columbus on Friday in a big early season matchup. And Carthage softball shuts out Joplin behind another strong performance from senior pitcher Jensen Elder. Jacob Leonard has those highlights and more next.
The Joplin Eagles play at home this afternoon in a COC matchup against Carthage. Now, the Eagles aim for their first conference win after falling to Webb City and Branson in their first 2 league games. Carthage, meanwhile, comes in with a 1-1 record in the league, 8-10 overall. It was all about the pitchers early. Jillian McDaniel, pair of strikeouts in the first for Joplin. Other side, Jensen Elder, really good tonight for Carthage. Strikeout there in the second, then in the third. Elder with another. And Joplin did have a chance to strike in the third. Jaden Pankow to right. Ball gets away and into the corner. She's in there for the triple, but Elder gets out of the inning with a strikeout. She finished with 13 strikeouts on the night. Game still scoreless. Now the 4th inning, that was the big one for the Tigers. Mary Grace Richmond with the bases loaded scores 2, 7 runs for Carthage in the 4th. Tigers going to beat Joplin tonight 8-0. Couple big 8 teams here playing tonight. McDonald County hosts Seneca. McDonald County 7-1 coming into the night, also on a 6-game winning streak. And the Mustangs make it 7 in a row in a shutout, beating Seneca 8-0. The St. Louis Cardinals are just a half game out of the 2nd National League wildcard spot coming into the night. The Cards are 74-69 and have won 5 of their last 6. Now tonight, St. Louis facing the Mets in Game 2 of their 3-game series. In the 4th, Paul Goldschmidt with the leadoff double, and with that, Goldschmidt becomes the all-time hits leader for players born in Delaware. Talk about that at the water cooler tomorrow. To the 8th now, Tyler O'Neill launches it deep to center, 2-run homer, gives St. Louis a 3-2 lead. But in the bottom of the ninth, they couldn't close it out. Javi Baez goes deep for New York, ties the game up at 4 and sends it to extras. Right now, game's still going. Cardinals have actually taken a 7-4 lead in the top of the 11th. In the American League this evening, the Royals at home kicking off a 3-game series against the A's. Salvador Perez doing his thing tonight, 2 for 4 with a 3-run homer, 4 RBIs. He's now at 43 jacks on the year. Royals lead the A's 8-7 in the top of the 7th. Well, the Girard Trojans are off to a 2-0 start to the football season. This Friday, Girard plays its biggest game of the season so far, hosting a CNC rivalry game against Columbus. Now, this game will be the third meeting between the two teams in the last year. Columbus beat Girard in the regular season last year before the Trojans returned the favor, beating the Titans in the first round of the playoffs. Now, that Girard win ruined a perfect season for Columbus, so the Trojans know Columbus will be ready to go on Friday.
Going into it, I think, I'm certainly we're circled on a calendar somewhere, thinking that knocked them off last year in the playoffs, and I'm sure they're eager to play us. But at the same time, our guys, we got to understand that game has no bearing on what this year is, and we got to go take care of business.
Now, Columbus is 1-1 so far in their first 2 games of the season. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran. Staff Sergeant James Woodard served in the U.S. Army during World War II. His hometown, Columbus, Kansas, and we are proud to salute Staff Sergeant James Woodard. He's tonight's 4-state hero. We have thousands of these heroes in our database. You can learn about them and just go to our website. It's KOAMnewsnow.com.
I know so many in there, but we're always looking for more. There's always going to be more.
That's right. Any currently serving service member or veteran from any era is eligible. The weather looking like we're going to get some rain tonight.
Yeah, our best chances for rain for the next several days will be tonight into tomorrow morning. Then once we hit the afternoon, we'll clear things out. 85 behind these rain chances, 87 Thursday, but we have to head back into the 90s come this weekend.
Final sports note.
Missouri Southern football back on the road this weekend facing Central Oklahoma. We're going to hear from the Lions on that matchup right here tomorrow night.
Very good. Thank you for joining us. And don't forget our morning show. Let's make it a great tomorrow.